Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So if you're watching Saints Bucks on Sunday, you saw a very familiar situation unfold where Mike Evans and Marshon Lattimore got into it again. This is the third very obvious time that this has happened, back in 2017 when Lattimore was getting into it with then Tampa quarterback Jameis Winston. Mike Evans raced across the field, blindsided Marshon Lattimore, and was ultimately suspended for that. In a couple of years later, Mike Evans ripped off Lattimore's helmet in an altercation between the two teams. By the way, Lattimore was fined in that one as well. Lattimore shoved Evans. Evans ripped off Lattimore's helmet and was fined. And then on Sunday, we saw what transpired there, which we'll go through here in a second. But the NFL has suspended Mike Evans for one game for Sunday's unnecessary roughness with Saints cornerback Marshon Lattimore. Schefter and others tweeted this earlier today. The NFL released a statement from NFL Vice President of Football Operations John Runyon, who part of his letter to Mike Evans wrote, "Your aggressive conduct could have caused serious injury to your opponent and clearly does not reflect the high standard of sportsmanship expected of a professional." If this were a one-off, I'd be okay with a one-game suspension. I'm not, because this isn't the first time. And that's the biggest problem I have with this with Mike Evans. If it was a one-off and you lost your cool in a alpha males, highly competitive situation, dude's jawing, and you lose your cool and you react, it sucks. Unfortunately, it happens. I'll give you a great example. What happened with Ali Gay against Florida State when he targeted Jordan Travis, which was ugly. Gay's a great dude. He apologized for it. The problem is with Mike Evans, this is who Mike Evans is. Mike Evans is a phenomenal wide receiver, y'all. Do you realize that Mike Evans is the only player in NFL history with 1,000 receiving yards in each of his first 8 NFL seasons? Only player in NFL history to have 1,000 receiving yards in each of his first 8 NFL seasons. He's a phenomenal talent. And as Saints fans, we've had a front row seat because you've got to play him twice a year. You know how good he is. But the Marshon Lattimore matchup is a problem for Mike Evans. That happens. Some dudes just have another dude's number. And Mike Evans has shown that he doesn't have the mental capacity, the maturity to deal with that. And he continues to lash out in a way that is dangerous. I mean, when you go back and watch the 2017 hit he put on Lattimore, full sprint, hit him in the back. What if Marshon Lattimore twisted a knee, twisted an ankle, a shoulder popped out, and now you miss game time because of that? And then when you see it happen again and again, now it's no longer just a one-off. That's who he is. I was walking into studio today as Hunt and Hill were walking out, and Jeremy Hill reminded me, and I'd forgotten about this, but in 2013, when LSU was playing Texas A&M, Evans did the same thing to one of the LSU defensive backs. And I mean, it was help me. Who was do you remember who it was?
Was it Rashard Robinson?
Robinson. I don't know why I was thinking Richardson. It was Robinson. The thing I always remember about Rashard Robinson is that he showed up and he was like 150 pounds. And he showed up the week before the TCU game, the opener that year, had not practiced at all. Showed up that week because he finally got eligible, played and was awesome. It was Robinson, Rashard Robinson. And Evans had a similar spat with Robinson in that game because he was getting owned. And when you're that good, you're not used to someone taking you away. And by the way, that's happened to Lattimore too. Adam Thielen has owned Marshon Lattimore in their matchups. Lattimore's awesome. But sometimes you run up against a guy that's just better. But Evans has not handled this well. So yes, he should be suspended. He should be suspended for multiple games because this isn't the first offense. But it's still too late. I mean, listen, what set the wheels in motion for the Saints' loss on Sunday was Mark Ingram's fumble. It's a 3-3 ball game. It's tightly contested. The Saints are finally starting to churn. And Ingram fumbles. He fumbles at the 10-yard line when you're going in. That's what set the wheels in motion. Then everything unraveled. The fight happened. Lattimore and Evans are both ejected. You have the two awful penalties against New Orleans. Then boom, up top go the Bucs for a touchdown to Perriman, and then Jameis throws the pick to Dean, the second pick to Dean, and it was over at that point. But the bigger problem right now is that Marshon Lattimore still is not taking any accountability. I mean, I'm watching SportsCenter or watching NFL Live right now in studio, and they just showed the Mike Evans cut from after the game. And after the game, Mike Evans, do you have the audio of Mike Evans from after the game? Yeah, I'll paraphrase it. But Mike Evans after the game said he punched my teammate, and I was going to defend my teammate. Like, no, he didn't. Tom Brady wanted a PI call. He didn't get it. He's walking by Marshon Lattimore, who's kind of waving him away. Tom Brady's not used to having that happen. So he comes back to say something to Lattimore. Fournette shoves Lattimore. Lattimore shoves Fournette. And then here comes Evans. No punches were thrown. Two dudes shoved each other. Something that happens in literally every NFL game in the history of ever. And sometimes you get offsetting PIs, and sometimes a ref steps in and just separates two dudes. Kind of depends on the flow of the game. That wasn't Mike Evans defending his teammate. That was Mike Evans seeing the open door to take a cheap shot out of frustration. Because we've seen Mike Evans do it his whole career. So the fact that even after the game, he's still fabricating the series of events that led to that decision suggests Mike Evans doesn't have any remorse. He's going to do it again when he gets an opportunity to do it again. Hopefully it doesn't hurt anybody. The other guy who's culpable in this is Bruce Arians. In the NFL, the thing that I would like to see happen is the NFL banish Bruce Arians from the sideline. I get it. He was a head coach. But in that game, you had Bruce Arians talking to officials on the sideline. You had Bruce Arians instructing Mike Evans right there, basically acting as an instigator of the whole thing. Bruce Arians yelling at Marshon Lattimore. Bruce Arians isn't a coach. He's not the head coach. He's not even a member of the staff. He's a front office member. Can you imagine if Kai Harley's on the sideline yelling at refs? Come on, man. You're in the front office. That ain't your role. And all Bruce Arians did there was act as an instigator, and he's got to get off the sideline. Man spent his whole life on the sideline. I'm sure at this point it's innate. Like, it's natural. That's just who he is, what he does. It's like a programmed response. Yell at the ref, talk to a player. Like, it's what he's done his whole professional life. And if you can't control that, you don't need to be on the sideline. Go get your ass in the booth. Go sit up in a suite with the owners, with the Glazers, whatever, and get away from the sideline. Because that created another scenario. It's another influence in the game that doesn't need to exist. So I'm glad the NFL suspended Mike Evans today, and it's actually further validating that Marshon Lattimore was not suspended because Lattimore didn't do anything. Lattimore and Fournette just shoved each other. That happens in every game forever. Lattimore is the cheap shot artist who took the opportunity to take another cheap shot at a player. That needs to stop and never happen anymore. And until the NFL is willing to take actual significant action against Mike Evans, he's going to do it again. I don't think this is significant enough, but it's something. The real shame is that the refs in the game didn't get it right. There should have been offsetting personal fouls against against Leonard Fournette and Marshon Lattimore. Mike Evans should have gotten a personal foul and then been ejected, and then off you go. Tampa would have lost 15 yards on the play, and you penalized 15 yards, and then you move on. And you got Mike Evans out of there, and then he's suspended today. But instead, you take the Saints' best defensive back off the field as well for nothing. So, if you're a Saints fan, you're feeling frustrated today, I'm right there with you. It's a big part of why I have no voice today. It was a frustrating sequence of events to unfold. From watching Lattimore get ejected, Evans taking a cheap shot again, a couple of phantom calls against the Saints, and you give Tom Brady that many chances. Tom Brady is going to take advantage, and ultimately they did, and the Saints unraveled. So it sucks, but that's refs. You can change. You can come back. You can come back and penalize after the fact, but it doesn't change the fact of what happened in the game, and that's unfortunate for the Saints because it all contributed to the Saints taking a home L in a division game against a team they've owned in a game that they were owning again, where Tom Brady, Saints were doing to Tom Brady what they do to Tom Brady. Go 3 quarters without scoring. I mean, it was a carbon copy of what we had seen, and then it all unraveled in part because of Mike Evans taking a cheap shot. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.